Hey everybody, this is me. I say that a lot because that's how I run a sweat lodge, and so when I open up rounds, I say, "This is Jessica." So just be prepared. I'm probably going to say that every time I do one of these. This is Jessica. So anyway, this is Jessica. I'm going to interview the lovely Lanette. I just love her. She's fantastic. She's helped me a lot. I highly recommend her services. You know, she does them long distance. I will let her tell you all about it because it's just fantastic. So I'm going to bring her on here. Hopefully it'll work. Did you get that invite? Let me see if I can bring you in this way. Can you add yourself? I see that you're there. Do you see that little finger? Silly phones. Huh. I've added you two different ways. I don't know why it's not letting you come through. I wonder what the heck the problem is here. There you are. Hey! Hi!
We did it. We did it.
Yay! So, I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself and stuff.
Hi, I'm Lanette Ferguson, and my company is Elevate Your Health 5, and I do all kinds of different fun things, of which Jessica has experienced a few of them. And so, do you want me to go over all my services that I offer, or how do you want to do it?
Yes, I do, because they're fantastic.
So, one of my favorite techniques that I do is I do past life regressions, also known as quantum healing hypnosis, which was brought to the world largely by Dolores Cannon. So if you're familiar with her work, it's the very similar to her technique. I actually did train with her company, and so I am a quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner. I'm also trained under Laura Whitworth, who is out of the UK, in her technique as well. And her technique is a little bit different than the Dolores Cannon techniques, in that with Laura's technique, she does entity release and attachment release. And so while we're taking you through the process of doing the past life regression, before we even get to a past life, we're looking for any attachments or entities, so on and so forth, that are attached. So that is the quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is the Dolores Cannon technique, has to be done in person. But the Laura Whitworth's technique is we're able to do those online. So I can do either or. I do have some videos of my past life regressions that I've done that are actually on my YouTube channel, which is Elevate Your Health Vibe. And so you can see some examples there of what that looks like. And then I also do Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. I do Access Consciousness bars and Access Consciousness Facelift. Both of those, the Access Consciousness bars and Facelift, have to be done in person because they're a physical technique that it's actually 32 points on the head. And then also, if you're doing the facelift, it's the points on the face that are basically removing and releasing any held tensions or emotions that are held in the body through those different points. So it's actually really, really cool. People tend to have a really good sleep that night after they do a bar session. And then I also do a technique called spiral emotional release, which is it's a series of 8 sessions, and we're working through all of the chakras that and we're working through, let's say, like the root chakra. We're releasing the 3 like root emotions and the emotions that are associated to those root emotions, and clearing those. I actually have a client right now who has an addiction, and after only the second session that addiction is no longer controlling that person. And so it's phenomenal. It's,
That
I
would
mean,
help a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that have those.
yes, exactly. And so Spiral is super powerful. The past life regressions are really great for people that feel like if there's something that they're dealing with that they're like, where did this come from? You know, like OCD or something like that, that they've had their entire lives, or something they've been struggling with, you know, for a really long time. You know, sometimes those things are rooted in a past life.
Yes.
And so even like people that are self-harming or have like all of a sudden they're like not able to eat, and they're having all these like weird, just unexplainable things that are happening. Sometimes that's actually an entity attachment.
Yeah.
And so it's not even them that's causing the issue. Like I actually had a client who was self-harming, and it was an entity, it was an attachment, and so getting rid of it definitely is the fix for that. I had a young client who was 16, and she had been struggling to keep food down. She was just throwing it up every single time she ate. And she came in to see me. That she'd been to regular doctors, and the doctors weren't able to fix it. And she came to see me. I had 2 sessions with her doing past life regression, and her mom came to see me a couple months later, and she told me, she's like, after she came to see you, there was no more throwing up, and there was no more, and she's gained like 15 pounds, and they were ready to put her on a feeding tube. And so it was incredible, like the results for that particular client. So super powerful stuff. When you're working in the quantum, you're dealing with energy, right? You're dealing with things that aren't typically addressed through the physical, because they're not coming from the physical. The root is not in the physical. It's coming from somewhere else. And so that's what quantum healing is all about, is you're dealing with that realm, and you know that very well, that you're dealing with a realm that is not, it's not fixed by food or diet, or like the typical, like even like counseling or something like that. I mean, these are not things that are fixed by medication.
Yep.
Right. So it's just a completely different way of looking at healing the body. So so the past life regressions are great for releasing emotions that are from either a past life. It's also great for dealing with grief, for people that have lost a loved one recently, or even not recently. If they're still in grief, they won't even be able to go into a past life, but their subconscious will guide them to address that grief in the session, right? And so, and a lot of times we can actually call forth and ask that person that has transitioned, we can ask them to come through in the session so that they can actually talk to their loved one, which is just amazing. And then the other thing too is trauma. I've had a couple of clients who had trauma earlier in their lives, and when they went into a past life, to go into a past life, they didn't drop into a past life. They dropped into this life earlier on, so that they could face that trauma. And actually, what I have them do when that happens is I'll actually have them call forth the people that were involved in the trauma. And so that they can actually work through like having the conversation with that person in a safe environment, right? Because it's not in the physical, right? So you're not having to deal with their ego.
Indeed.
Right. So when we're calling forth, let's say, it's a perpetrator in some way, shape, or form, and we're asking that person to their higher self to come through, and then having that person actually address that individual directly and say, why did you do that? Or, like, whatever. And that higher self usually apologizes. That's my experience, is that they'll apologize at that time for whatever it is that they did. And it also gives the person an opportunity to fully vent their feelings towards that person. And it's like a massive purge of like emotions, which they would typically not otherwise be able to get out, because it's different when you're actually speaking directly to the person. Because I've been through therapy, I know what it's like to be in counseling. And it's not the same, right? Like when I'm talking to a therapist, it's different than when I'm actually talking to the person. Like when my mom died and I went into a session with somebody who's, a medium, and I was actually allowed to directly talk to my mom after she died.
Yes.
That's the only time I cried, is when I was actually allowed to speak to her directly. And so the emotions just came pouring out. Whereas up until that point, I hadn't cried at all.
Right.
So it's just a completely different experience. So it's a different way of dealing with trauma. It's a different way of dealing with grief than our typical everyday modalities that are out there.
Well, and I liked when I came to you when I went through my trauma, and you hypnotized me, and then I channeled my higher self, and I got to ask all those questions about what happened and what's going to happen and this and that, and it was really soothing to have those questions answered, because like you said, I couldn't have went and asked a psychiatrist or a counselor, tell me the deeper reason for this, or you know what I mean, tell me. But where that's the first time I have channeled with you, and I've gotten pretty good at it since then, but I owe a lot to you, because channeling my higher self was fantastic, and that's something I would recommend to people if they want, like I said, questions answered, or that really was beneficial for me. I listened to that still, that recording you sent me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and that was the first time that you had actually, that's when you found out who your guides were and who was helping you.
I knew 2 of them, but and then that's when the Star Mothers come in, remember?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So it's a fantastic thing that you do for the people, and I definitely recommend you. And I haven't even done half of the stuff you do. I've only done a few. But I do. I highly recommend you, and hopefully you can, well, not hopefully, you do help a lot of people.
Yeah. The other thing that I do, and you have experienced, is I do mindset coaching, right? And so, that's something that you and I have, explored as well, is that aspect of, I am a certified coach. And so I got certified back in 2012. So it's just something that, I don't know, it's just kind of part of who I am now. I'm just, yeah. Thank you. And then also do human design readings. I'm not, I do basic human design readings. I know enough to be dangerous. But it is enough, when you and I were talking the other day, for you to kind of get an understanding of like, just like all these connections, it's just like, oh, well, that makes sense. No, okay. That explains that.
Really helpful. It is. I downloaded it. I just need to do something with it now. But because it did. You helped me a lot that day too. So I do. I highly recommend you. As a professional. She's my friend. You can't have her. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm everybody's friend, I swear.
Oh, it's so funny. But is there any more that you would want to share?
I think that's pretty much it. My goal in life, I mean, I've known for a long time that I'm a healer. I mean, for a very long time. I was like, because like I'd be at work, working in corporate America, and a friend, one of my coworkers, they'd be like, oh, my neck, oh, my head, oh, I'm in pain, oh, my arm, whatever. And I'm like, come here.
Like my back.
I have healing hands, what can I say? So I'm just like, come here, let me work it out for you. And it always helps, like people are always like, wow, like we really got rid of that, I'm like, well, it's intuitive healing, I guess, but then I was just like, well, I know I'm a healer, I know that that's just part of who I am. And so being able to help people heal, both, in the quantum, and then also physically, I studied functional nutrition for 8 years. you know, and so I know actually a lot about healing the body through food and nutrition. And so a lot of times, like clients will call me for, you know, they'll call me out of the blue and like, well, I think I need Reiki, you know, and I'm like, well, do you need Reiki or, you know, what is it, you know, well, tell me what's going on, you know, what are you trying to deal with? You know, what are you dealing with? What are you trying to resolve?
Yeah.
And they'll start talking and I'm like, yeah, that's adrenal fatigue. Like, yeah,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
right. And so I'm like, well, come see me and we'll talk about, you know, like what you can do to help, you know, get over your adrenal fatigue or depression. I've helped people with depression and anxiety, like within a week, their anxiety is gone,
Right.
you know, and or their depression, because I'm like, I know what's happening. Like I know, you know, like especially like if people are consuming a lot of supplements that are like for bodybuilding or weightlifting or whatever, like sometimes there's nutrients in there that are actually counterproductive and
Indeed. My mom
impact
says that a lot.
impact us adversely for people that are sensitive to them, right? Not everybody, right?
Right.
But for people that are sensitive, like it's just like, oh yeah, that's not good for you right now. So let's back that off a little bit. And I'm not a doctor. I can't, you know, I can't prescribe anything, you know, but I can definitely suggest. I can suggest. I can give you I can share my knowledge. That's about all I can do, right? Is I can share my knowledge. And I mean, I did reverse my own Hashimoto's, you know, which is autoimmune hypothyroid, right? And so I reversed my own Hashimoto's, and so I'm very knowledgeable about just healing the body in general. So whether it's in the physical, whether it's you know, through the quantum, whether it's, you know, the mental with the coaching,
Yeah.
pretty much all of those ways. And it's just my life's work, you know, of just everything that I've learned. And it all started, I'd say, back in like, I'd say 2012 is when it really just kind of took off for me, you know, doing my coaching certification. And then I started diving into functional nutrition. And then in the last year, it's all been about, you know, working in the quantum. And so, yeah, it's been quite a journey to get me to the point where I'm at. So
Like the mind,
I'm
body,
happy to be here.
soul healer. Like, do you know what I mean? I love that. I love that because you can heal the body, the mind, the soul. I mean, I call myself that too, but you really are. You're a round, perfect little.
Yep, I've encompassed it all so far. Well, not all of it, obviously. I mean, I feel like, you know, I'm a just a constant learner. I love to learn, and so I'm always trying to learn new things. But I feel like right now I've got quite a good skill set, you know, like a well-rounded skill set, and I don't see any need to really go further per se, just because I'm like, well, the past life regressions are super powerful, right? Even the energy transfer reset. I did an energy transfer reset the other day. We didn't even talk about that. I did one the other day with two people that are they are clairvoyant, and they can see beings and energies, and so one of them is a friend of mine who's actually, she did a session with me for the ETR. She did it like 2 months ago. And she was telling me that she had this like thing on her like wrist. It was like a bump that just wasn't going away. And she had had it for a couple of years, and it like would come and go. And it had been there for a while, and it just wouldn't go away. She was just like getting really concerned about it. And she said that during the ETR, the energy transfer reset, she felt like the sensation in her upper arm, like this pain in her upper arm, and it like dissipated. And she said that within like a couple days after doing the ETR, that bump on her wrist went away.
It's fantastic.
And yeah, and then I was like, wow, that's cool. And then this time she had been experiencing like some pain in her head, and on one side of her head, and during the ETR this time, that pain went away. Like she felt it, like kind of like she felt this like sensation in her head. So I haven't followed up with her. It was only like yesterday, so I haven't followed up with her since then. But I can only imagine that that's probably gone as well. And then the other two people that I was with, one of them actually saw like the beings that were doing the healing, like in the room with us.
I
Yeah, it was so crazy. It was so crazy. And I'm just like, wow, that is so cool.
Yeah,
And so, yeah,
I love that. I love that. That
it's
makes me
super
excited because I use beings to help me heal sometimes. You know that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
that makes me super excited.
Yeah.
Super excited.
So yeah, so it's all magical and wonderful, and you know,
And this part of life is just, man, so much fun. So
yeah,
much.
I agree.
It's the
I agree.
physical crap. We're like,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
anyway,
So yeah,
yay.
so if anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can go to my website, elevateyourhealthvibe.com, or elevateyourhealthvibe@gmail.com.
Yeah. Type
Oh,
it on this video so they can find
okay.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I highly recommend her. I really, really do. She really helped me a lot. You. So anyway, thank you for taking your time. For
Oh
the
yeah,
people
thank
in our
you.
group.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.